Did you know that marriage is just for one man and one woman is not anywhere in Scripture? Genesis 2:24 is a creation story description, not prescription. Adam and Eve weren't even married. When Jesus quoted it in Matthew 19, it was about protecting infertile women from being dumped into destitution, not a prescription for marriage. What about polygamy? One man and many wives. Lamech took two wives in Genesis 4:19, and there's no indication that this was condemned or merely just tolerated by God, especially when fruitful polygamy is celebrated throughout the Old Testament. Deuteronomy 17:17, a king must not take numerous wives, is about the limiting of power of the king, not against polygamy. One man, one woman is a modernist rubric that came from the outlawing of polygamy and recently a trope used to condemn same-sex marriage, and it's a complete misappropriation of Scripture. People say lots of things about the Bible that aren't really there.
This video makes multiple claims about what the Bible has to say about marriage, and virtually all of them are false. I guess you can't really trust every dude wearing a clergy collar on the internet. So let's look at those 5 claims he makes about marriage and respond one by one. First, he says Genesis 2:24 is just a description, not a prescription. This is false for 2 reasons. One, look at the context. God just made Adam from the dirt and Eve from his side. Then Genesis 2:24 says, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. That can't merely be describing the marriage of Adam and Eve, since according to the text itself, Adam didn't have a father and a mother. So who is Genesis 2:24 referring to? Well, it's prescribing marriage moving forward. 2, Jesus quotes Genesis 2:24 as prescriptive when he's asked about divorce in Matthew 19. Jesus reiterates that from the beginning, the design for marriage was one man with one woman becoming one flesh for one lifetime. Okay, so what about the next claim? Well, second, he says Adam and Eve weren't even married. False again. Read Genesis 2:25. It says, and the man, Adam, and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed. Sounds like the author of Genesis thought that they were husband and wife. They're married. That was also Jesus' understanding, since he cites Adam and Eve as the original model for marriage when answering a question about divorce. Third, he claims that polygamy is celebrated in the Bible. Celebrated? Really? Like where? Well, it's true that there are many examples of polygamous marriages all over the Bible. That doesn't mean that God celebrated them. For example, after the fall, Lamech took 2 wives, but the text also says that he murdered someone. My point is, the description of polygamy is no more an endorsement of polygamy than the description of murder is an endorsement of murder. Furthermore, these polygamous relationships come with a lot of problems. Mo wives, mo problems. Jealousy, strife, conflict are just common themes in the stories involving polygamy. For example, both Abraham and Jacob took more than one wife, and their families are filled with discord and division as a result. While some Old Testament figures practice polygamy, it's never presented as the ideal. Finally, he claims that the idea of one man, one woman is a modern invention. However, this completely ignores the consistent, progressive biblical thread. From Genesis to Revelation, the ideal is clear. Marriage is designed to be between one man and one woman. It's a lifetime union reflecting God's covenant love. And this ideal becomes more clear with the special revelation given in the New Testament through Jesus and Paul. For example, the Apostle Paul was a first-century man, not a modern man, and yet he says that an elder must be the husband of one wife. He tells the church at Corinth, each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband. He says that the relationship between one husband and one wife is a reflection of the relationship between the one Christ and the one church. So no, marriage as one man with one woman is far from a modern invention. It's God's ancient design, and it's affirmed throughout Scripture.